session on access litigation. My name is Oluwatosin Isaac, and today we'll be talking about, as we do, like as our custom, another topic where you need to be enlightened when it comes to the law. We bring the law to everyone, legal literacy, for everyone to know what is the position of the law when it comes to this aspect. Now, today's topic is not really like has to do with law like that, but we just want to go outside our normal scope to just discuss something general, like a general topic everybody knows, but just to bring to your consciousness again what it means and things you need to know like that. So today we'll be talking about courtroom etiquette. Yes, courtroom etiquette. Interesting, right? So just flow with me as I take you through the journey of courtroom etiquette and what you need to know about it. So I'm sure etiquette is not a new word. It's not an alien word. It's a word everybody knows. When we talk about etiquette simply means like the standard procedure or the standard behavior, or more like a customary behavior, how you ought to behave in a particular place or amongst a group of people. You understand? Just that attitude, that required behavior you should put on when you are with people or you're in a particular place. And there are some places that specify how you should behave. So I can just say etiquette in simple terms means how you should behave, like the way you ought to behave as it demands or as it requires. Now we have workplace etiquette, for instance. Workplace etiquette, we know that there are some certain way you ought to behave in your place of work. Let's see, for instance, a corporate organization, and you are the secretary. Now, the workplace etiquette demands that when you are to receive visitors and when they come in, you put on a smile and you welcome them warmly and you usher them to their seats, ask them the purpose of their business, and just like that. You can't be in your workplace and you're calling through the window, oh yeah, come on, like a market woman. No, you are not a market woman. So the workplace, that place amongst the group of people that you have, demands that you put up such behavior, such attitude. It's different from when you go to the market, or different from when you go to the spa, or you go anywhere else. If a market woman etiquette is to call customers, come and buy what I'm selling, come and buy. That is the way she behave. If you don't even behave like that, you're not going to sell in the first place. So every organization, even we have table manners, meal etiquette. We know how the proper way to dine, for instance. I remember when we were in law school, they will teach you, it's part of what they will teach you in ethics, how to dine, how to use a fork and a knife to eat. That is meal etiquette. That you don't use your teeth to cut your bread. I remember you don't use your teeth to cut your bread. You have to you cut a little piece, you put it in your mouth, then you take your soup with your spoon. Oh God, memories. You understand? So those are etiquettes. Now, if you're in your house, I'm sure if you're in your house, you won't even most of us, we know ourselves. Most of us don't do that. I can cut my bread anyhow I like, and I can eat it. But it will require me, when I go to some certain places, I have to behave like, I have to put on that behavior. It's more like you getting into character now, as if you're acting movie, because it is not your lifestyle. Fine, it might be something you should practice and get used to. Maybe try to adopt that attitude of eating like that. But as an African woman and as an African man, really most of us, we don't even use our dining in the house. Everybody sits on the floor or something like that to eat. You understand? So that is what we are talking about. So just that behavior you're meant to put up in a particular place or amongst a group of people. So that is etiquette. And just as we have the workplace etiquette, meal etiquette, we have meetings etiquette, communications etiquette. You cannot see somebody greeting you, hello, good afternoon, or good afternoon, how do you do? I say, hey, Agami Alpha, Gilos Alpha. No, that's not how to respond. You respond, hey, my bros Alpha, with someone that greeted you that way, right? But if someone that greets you, good afternoon, how do you do? Definitely you cannot say a good idea or something like that, depending on the kind of person and the place. You understand? So you have to respond and communicate well as you ought to. So just as we have meal etiquette, we have communication etiquette, we have meetings etiquette, we have workplace etiquette, we also have courtroom etiquette. Now, courtroom etiquette simply means the way you ought to behave in court. Now, yes, we know court is a public place. Anybody can go to the court. But when we talk about courtroom right now, we're not just talking about the premises of the court. We're talking about a courtroom, the room, the enclosed space where you see the judge or judges seated, you see the lawyers, you see spectators or the audience like that. That is what we're talking about. So when you enter that closed sanctum or you enter that closed space, or like we normally call it the hallowed chamber of justice. Yes, that's what we call it. So when you enter such a place, there is a way you ought to behave. There is a way you ought to behave. Remember, I'm not talking about the court premises. Of course, you can't be misbehaving in the court premises or be behaving anyhow. But differently, even when you enter the courtroom, there are different courtrooms in the court premises. So when you enter a particular courtroom, okay, my courtroom is courtroom 4. I'm going to courtroom 4, I'm a student, I want to go and watch proceedings, or I have a case and my case, I have to be there, you understand? So there is a certain behavior, there is the etiquette, there is a way you ought to behave. You don't behave anyhow, you don't do anyhow. There are just standard procedures you ought to comply with, and that is what we'll be looking at today. So I said the courtroom is different from the court premises. The courtroom is the space, the hallowed chamber, where those with the authority, the judicial authority to hear and settle disputes are. That's the judges, and we have the lawyers that make representation for clients. So when you enter a courtroom, it deserves the respect, and you ought to give it accordingly. A courtroom is meant to be respected because, number one, it's more like an extension of the law. I mean, we talk the law, we implement the law, we interpret the law. The law is being interpreted in the courtroom. So you bring your case and you want the law to get justice for you. So when you get to the courtroom, there is this behavior, there is this respect, courtesy you give, respect you give to the court and the courtroom itself generally. So what are these? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do basically? What do you do basically? For audience now, in a courtroom, we have the bench, we have the bar, and we have the outer bar. Yes, the bench, the inner bar, the outer bar, and the audience, the place for the audience. The bench is for the judges and the judges. The judges. Then we have the bar. There are some courts, there is the inner bar. The inner bar is for Senior Advocate of Nigeria, where the seniors colleague sits, the inner bar. Then we have the outer bar where other lawyers sit. But for some courts that don't have the inner bar, there is just the bar where lawyers sit, but senior advocates will sit in front. They'll take the front seat. Then we have the audience. So that is the courtroom, and there is, of course, the door where you come in. And there is also another door where the judge comes in from. The judge does not come in from the general door. The court is usually linked to the judge's chamber. So the judge actually comes from his chamber to the court. Like that, chamber to the court. So what you will experience when you go to a courtroom or you want to observe a proceeding is this. Number one, you must arrive before the judge, especially if you are a lawyer. Especially if you are a lawyer, you are meant to be seated before the court sits. The court sits by 9, so you're supposed to be in court before 9. Not even especially the lawyer. I mean, if you know you have a case in court and you know that your case will be called that day, you ought to be in court before the court sits. Now, when I use before the court sits, I can use judge, court interchangeably like that. but let me use judge so I don't really confuse you. So you are supposed to be in court before 9, before the judge sits, because one, when processes are going on, it's really wrong to start making noise just to avoid distractions. Yes, to avoid distractions and let everything flow accordingly. So the number one etiquette you need to have as a person or even as a lawyer is that you arrive the court before the judge sits. Before the judge sits. So you're all seated, and the judge is coming from his chamber. There is a connecting door. And he comes in, and you hear the registrar say, "Court." Now, when you hear that, what are you supposed to do? Another etiquette, you stand up. You don't sit when the judge is coming in. Once the judge is coming in and you hear "Court," everybody rise. That is a sign of respect. That is another etiquette. So you shouldn't be found seated at that point in time. So that is another behavior. That is another attitude you should put on when you're in the court. So when the judge comes in, you rise. The judge takes a bow, and you also take a bow. Respect. You take a bow. The judge takes a bow. You take a bow. Now, once the judge sits, you can now sit. It's just the procedure. It's the etiquette, and you need to abide with it. So once the judge sits, you also sit. Registrar gets to call the cases for the day, calls the case one after the other, like that. So proceedings have started, right? So once the court sits, the proceedings have started. Now, what you're supposed to do is, there's another etiquette, is that you switch off your phone, you switch off your cell phone. You don't allow your phone to ring in the court. You don't. It's wrong. It's wrong. There are some judges that are very, very strict on that rule, and once your phone rings, they seize your phone. They will confiscate it. Probably come back in a month's time to come and collect it, or you write application letter or appeal letter or something like that. So some judges are very, very strict with that rule. So you are meant to switch off your phone. You are meant to, before you enter the courtroom, you switch off your phone. And like I said, I've explained courtesy, be cautious, professional. Even if you're not a lawyer, I mean, you see the way things are going on. You see that people don't shout, people don't do anyhow. You can't start doing anyhow or talking anyhow or making noise in the court. No, you don't make noise in the court. You are cautious, you are respectful, you respect the authority, you respect everybody in the court. Now, peradventure, the court is going on, proceeding is going on, and you want to excuse yourself, you want to go out. I mean, maybe you want to ease yourself, or you need to get a snack, or you're hungry, or you need to get water or something. Of course, you are free to go out. The fact that the court is sitting and you shouldn't make noise or cause distraction does not mean that if the need arises for you to go out, you can't go out. Definitely you can go out, but at the same time, you do it in a very, very cautious way and less noisy. Meaning that you gently get up, you take a bow before the court. Fine, the court is going on, but you can just step out, take a bow, and you walk out without any noise. It's possible. That is another etiquette. So when you are leaving the court, and if you are coming in, you also take a bow and you go to your seat without dragging your feet on the ground or without making noise or anything. Just simple etiquette. You understand? So that is the respect. So that is another attitude. So, and another one is this: you don't sit when you are being addressed by the judge. If you are being addressed by the judge, regardless of who you are, you're a lawyer, you're a claimant, you're the defendant, whoever you are, once the judge is addressing you, you be on your feet. You get up when addressed by the judge. Also, once you've been addressed by the judge, you don't say "yes, sir," "my lord," "your honor," "your worship." So you don't address the court as sir. So you have to take note of this. fact, most judges won't take it. They'll sanction you, or they'll, they can actually scold you for that. You don't say sir, it's my lord. The popular one is my lord. My lord. Yes, my lord. I apologize, my lord. Duly noted, my lord. We are most obliged, my lord. Thank you, my lord. That is how it is. That is how it is. So you say, my lord, pardon me, my lord, with the kind permission of the honorable court, or with the kind permission of my lord. So respect. You give respect to the court, because the judge right now, because they deserve it. So basically, those are like the general behavior. I know you go to court and you see this, you see this in play, and you're like, what are they people doing? It is the procedure, it is the etiquette. The same way you cannot go to a corporate organization and you're shouting, come and buy, we are here, blah blah blah. It's the same way you cannot go to court and make noise. You observe the rules, you observe the procedures, you observe whatever it is that they do, and you stick to it. It's not going to take time. It's not that you live in the court. You just came for the business. Keep to the rules. Be on your best behavior. And when you're done, you go to your house. When you go to your house, you can start shouting and like that. You understand? So generally, those are the etiquette. That's the way you behave in court. And you don't. Even if you are eating something, you don't chew. No. You don't do that. You don't do that. You don't do that. You don't do that. Anything that will cause distraction, that will distract and will cause noise or whatever, you avoid it in court. That's just the bottom line of everything. That's the bottom line, because it is serious matter, serious business that is going on in court. So we need all the attention. We need all the quiet and silence we can get for my lord to hear you, hear the lawyers or the parties clearly first of all, and not to be distracted. So basically, but even that like I said, that's the general etiquette. Even lawyers have to observe this too. In fact, if lawyers go against these rules, it's even like they get scolded more. Like their own scolding is more than normal person, because it's expected that as a lawyer you are supposed to know these things. You're supposed to know it. But aside from that, too, as a lawyer, you comply with the dress code. You comply with the dress code. If you are appearing before an higher court, you appear with your wig and your gown, the lawyer robe. For the son, their silk robe with the wig. So, but if you're appearing before a magistrate's court, you don't need your ceremonial wig and gown like that. So you keep to the due process. You appear properly. You make your appearance. Your phone, very important. That phone is very, very important, like that. So basically, these are some of the etiquettes we see in court, and you should always observe. Don't worry, the court does not bite. The court does not bite. Nobody, unless probably you are the accused, or you want to get your judgment. There's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear in court, really. There's nothing to fear in court. Court is just like every other place where two people are fighting and somebody is there to mediate on it. That's just it. That's just it. So basically, we've come to the end of today's session. I hope you've learned one or two things, and when you go to the courts, do well to observe proper etiquette in the courtroom. Don't act outside yourself. Don't act outside the rules. It's just the rules. You go there, you observe it. When you are done, you are free. So thank you so much for joining us on today's session. Till next week, I will bring you another interesting topic. Stay digitally inclined. My name is still Oluwatosin Isaac, and I will see you next week. Bye.